Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Market U review of our services. My name is Rio, one of the founders here at Market U. I'm here today and joined by Dan over at Lightshed Photo. Very excited to hear your experience and how you have found the Market U service so far. Dan has been with us for the past month or so now, I believe 3 weeks to a month. So really interested to get his insight early on in his kind of experience with us. So first, could you just introduce yourself and a little bit about your business?
Yeah, my name's Dan St. John. Business is Lightshed Photography Studio. We're based out of Salem, Massachusetts, just north of Boston. And we do real estate and headshots, at least on the commercial side, my side of the business.
Excellent. And how long have you been running Lightshed Photo?
We've been doing this for, 12 years, 13 years. Too long. Yeah, a lot longer than it doesn't feel like that long, but yeah, about 12, 13 years.
Amazing. And so what is your need for a video editing fulfillment service over there at Lightshed Photo?
So what's our need for a video editing service? Video editing service for us is having somebody on demand that can help us work with our clients, having somebody who takes direction well. It's very common in this industry to outsource a lot of that work. And one of the biggest problems with outsourcing is communication, because it breaks down very, very quickly. So when it comes to art, direction, and design, partnering with somebody that's good at it is paramount, because if they're not good at it and the communication falls apart, the job falls apart, and then eventually there's no business left to support. So
Absolutely. And so that kind of leads me into my next question then. What have you enjoyed about your experience working with Market U, just from like a general overview standpoint?
all right, so what I've enjoyed best about working with Market U is they are the answer to what I just mentioned earlier. We have great communication. They're responsive. You guys get back to me real quick. And when I ask for something or I communicate a need that one of my clients has, it's not misunderstood. It's met and it's delivered in the time frame that it's promised, which, sad to say, is not the norm in the industry. You'll have it by the end of the day. And by that, I mean next week. But you guys have been great. Everything's come down the pipe on time and it's looked fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. And so tell me a bit more about like kind of the quality of the edits that you've had coming through. Like, how have they compared to previous experiences? How have you found them kind of yourself? Like, what's the quality like?
The quality of the edits have been fantastic. We were actually really blown away on the first one that got delivered to us, because although I knew what we were getting into and what we were looking for, without seeing the product itself and without seeing what we've created ported over to your team working its magic, there's still a little bit of a disconnect, or at least there was. But I think I've sent back one reel out of, how many have we done now? 15 or 20. And the only reason I sent it back is there was a caption issue, and it was mainly me speaking too fast. It wasn't necessarily your editor's fault. I just talk really quickly sometimes, so I think it was just mistranslated. But other than that, everything's been awesome. The graphic design's been great. The captioning has been great, and also the choices with the audio design and the visuals in terms of icons or stock footage that's being dropped over. You've hit the mark literally every single time.
That's awesome. That's really great to hear. And tell me, obviously you're one of the few, we don't have too many clients using the kind of graphic design services that we have, or are really utilizing that to the best of their ability. So tell me a little bit more about that experience. Like, how have you found the graphics that have been coming out? Because I know there's quite a lot of creative freedom for kind of the graphic designers to work with that. And how have you been using them for your business as well to like kind of help elevate the content?
I found the graphic design services to be fantastic. I, again, wasn't sure what to expect when they first came down the pipe, but I started in graphic design before I got into photography. So while I'm not super crazy about it, I do have more of an opinion than some folks would. And I kind of gave you guys free reign. When we sent everything over, like, well, let's just see what they come up with. And we really liked it. And we've liked it since. The way that we utilize it the most is within the reel covers for Instagram, and the fact that you guys take the content that we send over, and without us providing any other additional details, although you certainly give us the option to, we can micromanage it as much as we want. We just haven't, because we haven't needed to. Your team has taken it and it made it look good so that I could literally just plug and play, download it, upload it, done.
Excellent. And does the team kind of feel like, does like the service, the team feel like more of an extension of your team rather than like another service or something that you have to manage?
Yes, the editors definitely feel like an extension of our team. And the main reason for that is just simply politeness. It's like the most basic thing that you could ask for. But I understand that in this industry where everything needs to be delivered yesterday in most regards, most people in their quest to get it done faster and smoother tend to drop the niceties along the way. And there's typically a lot of back and forth of, oh, we need this, and now my client wants that. And frustration is very common because everybody's just trying to make that end user happy, and that can be a challenge. But regardless of any of the conversations I've had with your team, everybody's been, top notch, super polite, and just helpful. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? As opposed to, ugh. And they don't always have to type that for you to get the message that they're sending you.
Absolutely. Well, that's great to hear. I'm really stoked because we definitely do place a strong emphasis on good, great customer service for all of the agencies that we serve. So that's really, really good to hear. Um, what's it like interacting with the project managers? Kind of, that's kind of, I think, a bit of a unique experience that we have here at Market U, where instead of just interacting directly with an editor, you have that extra layer of interaction with a project manager. How do they interact with you? How do they ask you questions about the edits? Do you feel like what they are kind of getting from you information wise is being translated effectively to the editors?
Yeah, talking with the project managers has been extremely efficient. I don't have a lot to comment on here only because we've been so happy with everything almost immediately that there hasn't been a ton of back and forth. But for the little bit that we have had, everything was communicated clearly, and what I was asking for is exactly what I got. I was never surprised by something that showed up once it was delivered, thinking like, whoa, this isn't even close to the direction that I was going in. And there's usually a grace period whenever you switch over to a different editor of any kind, photo, video, where they kind of learn what you need and what your style is. But that simply didn't exist here. It just worked right out of the gate.
So the order process for a lot of other kind of video editing agencies can be quite complex. Sometimes people use Slack to manage it. They'll use like ClickUp or other services like that. Obviously, we use Service Provider Pro, SPP, to manage all of that. What has been your order experience and going through that process? That it tends to be a smoother experience we find for our clients, but I'd love to get your insight on what that has been like.
Yeah, the ordering process has been really smooth. And I agree with you going through Slack or other email channels. I have some editors on Facebook Messenger, I have some on Slack, and I have some that email back and forth. And there's always a little bit of a disconnect, but the fact that there's a formal structure, the way that Market U has it set up, where I can simply go in and add things, communicate directly. I know which channel that needs to be, and I simply bookmark it, stick it in my tabs in the top of my browser, and in 5 seconds I'm there having the conversations I need to have and just getting stuff over the goalpost, which is obviously paramount.
Absolutely. And I think something else with that, I think sometimes people feel like if there's a rigid kind of structure of how you order something, it's very hard to like if you want to be a bit more unique with your edit or you want to introduce something to an edit and put that in. I think sometimes people feel like they can't because it's like a formal order process, like an Amazon or something like that. But how have you found that? Like if you've made it to make certain tweaks for a client or for just a different style of content you're going for, do you feel that even though it's a rigid kind of order format, you can still put that direction in there?
Yeah, the order form, I guess by definition, is rigid. It's, fill in X number of radio buttons, fill in these text boxes and go. But the fact that you have one available for inspiration or stuff that we're looking at, things that we kind of styles that we want to emulate, being able to add that has been very helpful. Although, as I said, your team's already been really good at getting it done without that extra guidance. But the fact that I can put stuff in, and I have on a handful of occasions in the past month or so, where a client has wanted it to look either like their current branding to some extent, whether that's good or not, they want it to look like what they produced prior. Uh, and your team has been great at matching it. I think there was zero back and forth once I basically put in what my client asked for. They nailed it, on the first try. So
Good, good. Two more questions for you then. What is the favorite video that the team has produced for you so far?
that's a good question. Let me open my, I've got Market U right here. So let's find out. It's kind of tough because we had you guys chop up a podcast for us. One of your options to repurpose long format content. I took a podcast I did last year, and they just delivered on that, I think, yesterday, 2 versions of that. So we were able to cut up 2. I think I've got 6 or 8 more ready to go because there's like another 10 minutes. They did a great job basically taking that long form content. I gave them timestamps, from YouTube, and said, okay, we talk about a bazillion things in this podcast, but from 1.5 to 3 minutes, we talk about this. So I gave them a title and 2 timestamps to navigate between, and they chopped it all up and basically told a story which is pretty impressive. And that speaks back to the project managers that we described and their ability to take content without a ton of guidance and make it extremely usable. So for that reason alone, probably that one, mainly because I was impressed that they didn't need much direction other than make this sound good.
Absolutely. Actually, I have a favorite of yours. Is I think the first edit you sent to us actually of when you were talking about lockboxes, and the content there
That
was
one did
amazing.
well.
Yeah, that was a really, really good piece of content. And I think if anybody watching this right now, definitely go and check out. I'll link that in either description or I'll have it pop up on the screen right now. But that video is really good for anybody looking to do short form content like for their business, to really like how to frame it, how to hook people into a story. I asked Dan when he actually entered that first one. I was like, "Hey, like, who scripts your stuff?" And you said, "Oh, that was just me on the spot," and that was amazing. To kind of see that level of creativity. So it's great that we can kind of share in that back and forth of how we're making the content as well. Final question for you then: would you recommend Market You as a video fulfillment agency to another agency owner, whether they're in real estate or somewhere else? Would you recommend our services?
Oh yeah, for sure. Take more off your plate. You don't have enough time in the day to accomplish everything. And this is if you can find somebody that you can trust to handle it, hands down, you guys to do a phenomenal job. I definitely would.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and kind of listening to Dan's thoughts on our services, and how his experience has been with Market You so far. We look forward to working with you over the foreseeable future, and producing more great edits. So thank you so much for using our service. If you are interested in finding more about Market You, then you can go to marketyou.com and you can see all of our services that are available. You can also go ahead and book a call by sending us a DM on our Instagram or any of our socials, and you can get a free 15-minute consultation, and we can see if it would be right for us to work with each other. Thank you so much, and you all have a great rest of your day.